Here we go, another kitchen remodel. Yes, I did this for $125. I was able to get a lot of my products from a reseller. So each of the boxes were $12.50. I think I bought 4 boxes. Now you remove all your socket plates before you start this whole thing. Yes, I'm gonna go back. I just wanted to show you how I did the backsplash for the over the stove. So I essentially laid out the piece that I wanted. I measured the piece, identified which was the center, and then made a center mark on the back of the stove. And that's essentially where I put, as you see right here, made a little straight line. Yep. I'm trying to show you after the fact, but it was straight, promise. And then a center line down the middle of the stove. And that line, I put the bottom portion of, that little backsplash part on the back of the stove. And so this was the pre-made grout, really easy. I paid for 1 bucket, which was $23, I believe, from Home Depot and Lowe's. I believe both of them have the same product. I'll tell you which one I use. I don't remember. But anyways, here goes the backsplash. It was fairly easy. Didn't take that much time. I ended up doing this project over 3 days because I did it during the week. So my weekend would be free. And then this is me showing you how I would do a large section and grout an entire section so that it would go a lot faster in between each of the sockets, knowing that I have to cut around the sockets. And then I stayed away from the top because I knew I had to cut the top pieces as well. Everything went really simple. The spacers for a bag of like 250 is like $2. Very cheap. Really easy to do. And the project goes a lot quicker when you do the pre-grout. You just need to move fast. I'm not moving this fast, but of course I'm moving fast. So now I'm just showing you the backsplash with all the spacers in between. I'm showing you how it doesn't really have to be perfect around the socket because actually the plate will cover up a lot of your mistakes. So that's a good thing. But then you want to take your piece and then mark exactly where you need to make your cut. I made my cut downstairs with a wet saw. You can rent one from Home Depot and Lowe's. I ended up buying a small little portable one, which was fairly inexpensive and cheap. I ended up buying it from somebody from work. Or you can buy a manual one for like 10 bucks on Amazon. I don't advise to use manual ones because I end up breaking a lot of the pieces. So I went with a wet saw. And then after you're done with the wet saw, I end up putting the grout directly on the piece. And then it fits right there around the socket. Yeah, clean it up. So I cut the piece in half. One piece was larger than the other, so I chose a smaller piece. And then I grabbed my spacers, just making sure that it is level all on 3 sides or all 4 sides after it's done. I think I used many more spacers than I actually needed. And once the grout dries, I end up taking the spacers off and putting them back in the bag and then reusing it possibly later for another project. So now here goes the entire project. Everything, all the tiles is up, but it's not grouted in between. So you have to go back and actually use, I don't know what this thing is, but it's like a spongy grout thing. I put it in the description, but this is what you essentially just put in between all of the grout lines and stuff the grout in between there. Again, I used the pre-made solution or grout. It made things go a lot quicker for me. I'm not very comfortable with concrete or anything of that nature, but it's easy to do that. And then you take a sponge. These sponges are like $1. You only need one for the entire project. You don't need multiple ones. You just wet it and then just wipe it off. Let it dry for maybe like a couple of minutes before you wipe it off, so you don't have a whole bunch of, you don't take off a whole bunch of grout. But then voila, now everything's up, everything's grouted. Now we need to put our covers back on our electrical sockets. And if you notice, oh no, there's a gap. How am I going to fix it? I use spacers. These spacers, again, are very cheap. You just fold them upon themselves and they snap. like so. I take out the hardware, make sure you turn off your power at the circuit breaker. And then you just put the spacers, as many as you can. You make your adjustments. I kind of figured out after going along how many spacers I need behind. And I think I did 4 or 5 deep or something of that nature. And then once you're done, you screw everything back in its place. You put the wall plate back on and then use the original screw that it comes with. And then make sure you get it really tight down so that, you know, it's nice and secure and it looks flush with the wall itself. Other than that, voila! I hope that you like this tutorial. Please hit that thumbs up and subscribe.